in 2022. Over to you, Nige.
Thanks, Serge, and g'day everyone. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. We're going to make this nice and short, sharp and sweet for you. The goal of today is very much to introduce you to some of the things that you may or may not have picked up on that have changed with solar analytics. We've been working feverishly over the last 6 months or so, particularly to make a whole lot of changes to some of the offerings that we've got. And yeah, we wanted to update you to make sure that you are across them. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into the first slide. A good place to start, of course, is, where are we at now, particularly with inverter integrated? And as you know, we essentially have two ways to get solar analytics now. Option number one is through our classic hardware. That's the little widget that goes in the meter board that I'm sure you're all hugely familiar with. Has a wonderful place and still a really, really popular product in the applications where it suits really, really well. Option number two is an increasing range of inverters. And what that allows us to do is give you and your customers solar analytics without the need for our hardware. So instead of using our hardware, what you can do is install a Fronius or a Sungrow inverter, and very soon a GoodWe inverter, and we can communicate directly with that inverter and then pull the data across to our cloud and apply all the magic stuff that we've got at Solar Analytics to help you in a different way using inverter hardware. That's an option that we've been working on for a long time. We already talked to lots of different devices, but we've now finally got almost three inverters that allow you to choose a different way to get solar analytics. So two ways to get us. You get the same wonderful benefits and features with both of those options. Now, one of the things that also changed recently was some options around, particularly the inverter integrated pricing. And with great excitement, we're now able to offer you actually one of the cheapest subscription deals that we've ever had in the market. Our yearly subscriptions are really popular ones so far, only $40 a year, and it's barely going to touch the sides of the cost of a solar system. And that enables your customer to simply have us bundled in with the inverters and get access to us for a year and barely touch the sides of your solar pricing. The other option, of course, which is also proving very, very popular is, why charge anything? Why complicate your life? So we have a free 30-day free offer now, a free 30-day offer, I should say. What that enables you to do is simply enable us for 30 days for free for your customers. They'll get access to us, and then we'll do the hard work of selling solar analytics and hopefully convincing them to subscribe. And although that sounds like a risk, it's actually something we're very, very comfortable with because we renew customers all the time who've had subscriptions with us previously. So we're very comfortable with the prospect of actually getting your customers subscribed and giving them a variety of choices to continue on with solar analytics after that 30-day free period. So if you want to build us in, we've got a variety of ways you can do it. If you prefer to just give the customer an option and let us do the hard work, we're happy to do that for you too. So lots and lots of ways, and very affordable via inverter integrated in particular. One of the other things that we've done with inverter integrated, if we jump onto the next slide, Serge, is for those of you who don't know, back one. For those, there we go. Thanks. For those of you who don't know, we've been providing relevant agent services for customers in South Australia for more than a year now, in fact, via Sungrow. We can also provide relevant agent services via Fronius now. So whether you install either of those two makes, you need to apply or to appoint a relevant agent if you're selling solar in South Australia, and we can handle that for you without any trouble at all as a part of our subscription service. So if you haven't thought about using us as your relevant agent, the lovely thing about it is it's simple, it's integrated all into the one offer, and you can just roll us out with us as your relevant agent. So don't hesitate to contact us if you haven't explored that option and learned about the ways that we can do that. All right, so that's the updates on inverter integration for you. If we jump forward now, we've got a bunch of dashboard updates, which you may or may not have noticed. There's been some drop-down prompts that you should start seeing when you jump into the dashboard to remind you of some of these things. But what I want to do is take you through some of these key features. So starting with some of the features on the layout of the dashboard, only a week or so ago, we actually made a subtle but really important change to the layout of the dashboard. This is actually one of the things that makes us different to everybody else in the industry who provides data and monitoring services, because it's all we do. And so one of the benefits that we get out of that is we're really, really focused on what those users want. And as part of our service or part of our back end function, we've got a whole lot of people who are researching and talking to customers about, what's your experience been like? What do you like? What don't you like? What would you like to see more easily or more of or less of, for example? So as a consequence of a bunch of research that we did over the last few months, we actually took all that feedback and fine-tuned our dashboard to deliver more of what customers are asking for. So subtle, but really important, because we know from talking and researching directly with those users exactly what they want, and now we've delivered it. So as you can see here, and this is on the landing page that most end users would go to first. This is the computer view. Of course, it's slightly different on a mobile or a tablet view, but essentially what they're going to see is these cards, as we call them. System performance is something that everybody wants to see. They want to see, is everything okay? And our very simple icon-based card shows them at a glance what is the current status of their system. The second thing that everyone told us that was really, really important is to keep an eye on the balance between what they're self-consuming, what they're exporting, and what they're purchasing from the grid. So my energy usage is the second card that sits right there. Again, really quick, simple view, and that bubble graph view is really popular with our users. Third one is a snapshot of the bill that's coming up. So this is a kind of fairly dramatic shift that we've moved towards over the last year or so, is really highlighting the numbers, the dollars, because that's why people buy solar. They buy it to save money and they want to keep a track on what's going on. So my electricity bill is right there. They can really quickly get a glance at what the expected bill is likely to, the next expected bill is likely to be. Below that, again, right there, front and center, is solar savings. Now, this one I really, really love, because at the end of the day, what this tells your customers is, has their system paid for itself? Are they making money? Are they saving money? And the solar savings is a constantly updating cumulative savings card. So this is wonderful, because what it does is every time your solar owner logs in, they're reminded, look how fabulous the solar is. In this case, nearly $16,000 worth of savings. You know what they're going to do when they see that? They're going to smile. They're going to say, my goodness, this was a good investment. My goodness, I should tell my friends about this. My goodness, look what a great job my retailer has done. I should tell my friends to go use them, because look, they've saved me nearly $16,000. The other thing that does for them, of course, is that it allows them to then start making the next decision. Well, maybe it's time for an upgrade. Maybe it's time for a battery. And we've got tools, as you know, sitting in the background, like our battery calculator, that help them convert that wonderful good news story about their solar savings into an opportunity to buy or to upsell from you. Plan Optimizer is also there, of course, and you'll hear more about that in a minute. So let's jump through to the next change. So True Performance, as you know, is one of those things that is absolutely unique to solar analytics. Nobody else will tell you what the solar system should have done as well as what it has done. And that is gold for a solar owner, and it is gold for a retailer, because it allows you to benchmark what's going on. There's no point just saying, you know, your solar system did 16 kilowatt hours today if you don't know whether it should have produced more than that. And this is really, really unique. Our users in our recent surveys told us it was one of the most valuable features that they can see. Behind the scenes, it's not so obvious from the graph, it hasn't changed, but behind the scenes, we have been doing a ton of work to constantly enhance and improve our algorithms, so they're increasingly more sophisticated, they're ever more accurate. We take into account a wider range of circumstances so that they are better and better and better and better all the time. Of course, True Performance also includes our shading calculation. You can see a little bit of light gray there, which is indicating shading on this particular system, which is a really valuable argument buster. The reason your solar production is lower than you might expect is because your tree has grown. Can we talk to you about reducing the shading impacts in your system to generate more savings, for example? So a lot going on behind the scenes to make True Performance even better than it has historically been. The next one is, again, another small but really commonly requested change. So for those of you who do use our classic hardware, you'd be aware of the install check. It's, again, one of those subtle things, but it's actually really powerful because it's fully automatic. And what it does is helps your installers to avoid having to return to site. It does that by running a whole lot of automated checks on signal strength, on power factor, on a whole variety, about 7 different factors. And if everything is perfect at the stage, the final stage of installation, when you click the install check button, in literally seconds, you'll go tick, 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 and your installer will be able to see that everything is perfect and they're done. They can then leave the site knowing that that system is performing perfectly. Historically, if we have discovered problems at this point, what we did was we encouraged the installer to ring into our ops center to get some support from us, to find out why there might be a problem and to help them navigate a solution, which was a great way for us to offer support. However, particularly our more experienced installers and users often said, look, that's okay, but we'd like to actually be able to do some of these bypasses ourselves or override the test ourselves because we know what's going on and we know how to resolve it. So we've been pilot testing this over the last few months and are excited to announce that you can now override those tests yourself. Now, of course, if you don't fix the problem when you do the override, you're going to have a site that's not working properly and you're going to end up having to call in. So don't push it just to speed things up because you're still going to have a problem unless you know how to fix it. So install check now has an increased number of overrides and bypasses available for you to speed up the install process at the end of the classic install process. The next one that I wanted to bring your attention to on what we're doing with our dashboard and how we're, again, trying to speed things up and help your business is an integration with Pylon. Now, a number of you are helping us with our pilot tests there, so thanks heaps. It's not ready for release yet, but we did want to let you know, and we know there's a lot of people out there who use Pylon as a design and quoting tool. What we're working with on Pylon is the ability to scrape the data straight out of Pylon in a very, very simple way so that if you've designed a system in Pylon and you move through to the sales stage and the installation stage and you've included Solar Analytics, instead of having to take all that data out and create a site in Solar Analytics, you'll literally be able to click 1 or maybe 2 buttons and it'll pull all that data across and create a site automatically for you. The goal here, avoid duplication of data entry, save your time, save your money, make your business more efficient. So look out for that. If you're interested, if you're a Pylon user and you're interested in joining our pilots, do get in touch with the sales team and we'll put you onto our product team who can help you. So there you go. Lots of tools to streamline the process and make your business more efficient. All right, let's move on now to our next slide.
Nige, can I just interrupt? Sorry. We've just had
Please.
a question sort of back a couple of slides about relevant agent.
Yes.
This is from Gavin Lee. He's asking, in terms of the relevant agent things, Sapin seems to be pushing flexible exports into more suburbs as part of grid connection approval. Will Solar Analytics be compatible with inverters to achieve this function soon to help end users with flexible instead of fixed exports?
Oh, excellent question. And the answer is absolutely. We were very early out of the gate with excited, in fact, about flexible exports and dynamic export control because we see it as a huge win for customers. It kind of takes the pain away from the conversation of saying, oh, look, your system might be turned off. Instead, we were very, very keen to get flexible exports into our capabilities, and we've been working on that. We worked on that very, very early with SunGrow, and Sapin delayed, as you know, the deployment of that as a requirement. So we've kind of been sitting on our hands there with the capability of doing it with SunGrow. And I know we've been working really hard with Fronius too. I'm not sure off the top of my head whether we're ready to go in the same way we are with SunGrow, but certainly I know the conversation has been really positive and we're heading in that direction. So yes, we will be ready and actually chomping at the bit to get flexible exports into the market. Awesome. Okay, thanks, Suj. Plan Optimizer. Now, as you know, we've been singing and dancing about Plan Optimizer, and I wanted to take you through some really cool stuff that we are learning following the launch of Plan Optimizer. So I want to start right at the top with some really cool statistics, because we've got a bunch of new data now as a result of having this out in the market for a while. And there are some great high-level statistics on the next slide that I wanted to share with you. There you go. So first and foremost, I had this question from a retailer yesterday who said, oh, so, you know, okay, you've launched this thing, Plan Optimizer, but how many people are actually using it? Well, you know what? 6,107 unique users have jumped on Plan Optimizer in the few months since we launched it, which is super exciting for us because we know people are engaged with it. They're interested in it. They're looking for it. They're clicking on it. They're going there. Thousands and thousands and thousands of them, in fact. The other thing that's really cool is I did some quick numbers just the other day, and of course this changes regularly, but I did a quick sum of the money that is left on the table for our solar owners through the calculations that we've done with Plan Optimizer. And as you can see there, $1.5 million worth of annual savings are sitting on the table, waiting for you and us to deliver to those customers simply by switching to a better tariff. And as we all know, switching tariffs is complicated. It's hard. It's so difficult that very, very few people do it. Plan Optimizer solves that. It takes all the hard work out of it, and it does all the calculations to make the decision where to go and which retailer to go with and which tariff really, really simple. We've still got lots of work and lots of opportunity to bring more savings to the table, but right now we know more than $1.5 million worth of annual savings sitting there that you can all be delivering for your customers in conjunction with us. Another snapshot for you, just looking at the top 20 Plan Optimizer sites or calculations in our current data set. And of course, again, this changes all the time as plans change and profiles change. Our system is dynamic and constantly updating, but our top 20 users can save nearly 70 grand just across 20 customers. So for those users in the big bracket where there are big savings, there is enormous potential. And I've highlighted this to a number of our retail partners recently. I'm one of them. I can save $350 by changing my plan. And you know what? After I get off this call, I'm going to do it. I'm sick of thinking about it. I want to save, what is that? That's $1,400 a year sitting on my table that I haven't taken advantage of. I'm going to do it after this call. The other thing that's really good is we know that the usage rate is growing really, really nicely. In fact, we had one of our biggest days not long ago where more than 1,100 people used Plan Optimizer in a single day, right? That's just in one day. So really, really good growth signs of people as they learn about Plan Optimizer, as you and your sales team spread the message for us. The other thing that's really cool is that we're seeing an increasing number of people adding plans. There are actual plan details to Plan Optimizer. 229 users per week was one of the peak rates that we got. So people are actively getting in and saying, oh, I want to get this as accurate as I can, because accurate savings is what matters to me. I want to know what's going on. So in terms of how's it going, I think this tells the whole story. Thousands of people are using it. It's growing every day, and millions of dollars on the table over and above what you're saving them just with the solar system. So that's a good place to start, but we've also been making lots of changes. So let's take a quick squiz through them. Now, there are two parts to Plan Optimizer. One is on an ongoing basis, plans change, usage changes, and you need that constant advice. Should I change? Is everything okay? That's handled through Plan Optimizer. But what a lot of you have said is, look, on day one, every single solar owner has a conversation with their installer or their retailer that says, well, okay, I've got solar. What plan should I go on? Should I change? Should I stay with my current provider? What should I do? And that's been a really, really hard one to answer. And of course, until we know what their consumption profile is, that's hard to guide. However, our incredibly smart team in the back end actually scanned our 30,000 users and worked out that there's actually 4 major consumption profiles that virtually all our users fit into. And you can now, even on day one, in the absence of actually collecting that data, you can allow the user to choose that profile. You can do it for them too, if you prefer. So you can choose the profile that you think is best going to match their consumption. We already know what the size of the solar system is because you've created the site and told us that. And we can then advise them which plan we think is most likely to save them money. Now, of course, that calculation will get more and more accurate over time as we collect more and more data, but you can now advise them on day one. And in fact, some of the results that we're seeing is that day one estimation is right more than 90% of the time. We're actually giving them really, really, really high quality advice, even on day one, because we've got 30,000 sites worth of experience in the background. So day one advisor is there. That helps solve the question that you get post-install, which retailer should I go to? And then, as I say, over time, it's going to get better and better and better and richer and richer and richer. So that's a big update for Plan Optimizer on day one. The other thing that changed recently, and again, this was from some of the great feedback, and we do take your feedback. We really encourage feedback. Our team is always surveying you and asking questions and doing polls, and we really, really appreciate that input, and we move as fast as we can to put it in. One of the things that had come up is, look, if a user or an installer doesn't put the default tariff in, doesn't put the real tariff in, the calculation wasn't working. And so now what we've enabled is a default tariff calculation. So if the user or you don't enter the exact tariff structure that user is on, we will do the Plan Optimizer calculation based on our default tariff that automatically goes in. Of course, there's a little warning there that says, look, this is based on an example plan. It may not be exactly the same as yours. So go add your details and we'll give you the exact number. But what this means for you is, and your customers, is that you will get a really strong sense of what the savings potential is on that site straight away. And you can refine it by investing a little bit of time and getting a tariff in there. So default tariff calculator already in, already up and running for you. That uses the example plan. Now, the other thing that we've been really keen to do is to help you understand the benefits that Plan Optimizer can deliver your customers in a really simple way. So as of the day before yesterday, you can now download a fleet view of all the Plan Optimizer savings that are available. You go into data download, you go to fleet data and download the fleet data CSV that you can see on the screen there. And what that will do is give you a whole lot of details about your entire fleet. So it's a snapshot in time. Be aware of that. It is, you know, the status at that point in time for all the sites in your fleet. But now what you can also see is all the Plan Optimizer savings that we've been able to calculate. So this is a wonderful sales tool. It's a wonderful thing for your salespeople to be able to go through and go, oh, there's that system I sold to Mrs. Jones. There's $1,000 sitting on the table for her. I should ping her a note. I should run a campaign. I should sum this up and work out how many tens of thousands of dollars we've got available and help encourage people to take advantage of those savings. So data download now includes Plan Optimizer savings for you, making your life simpler and easier again. And we aren't stopping there. There's continuous work on all our products and services, as you know, but some of the things that are coming very, very soon, we also want to let you know about. Stepped feed-in tariffs are something that are starting to appear more and more often. So the team has been working in the background to start building out the functionality for that. I've seen some of the draft designs for it, looking really, really nice, in fact, and that's not far away. So soon you'll be able to actually nominate different time periods for feed-in tariffs to suit some of those situations that are already there in the market. Controlled load and specifically calling that out has been something that lots of people are asking for as well. We found, with the help of, again, feedback and great research with some of our retailers, a really clever way, we think, to be able to identify control load and segregate that so that you've got even more accuracy. So that's coming soon. And of course, the adjustable time period. A lot of people have said, what if I want to do the plan optimizer analysis over 12 months instead of 3 months, or 1 month instead of 3 months, or whatever the time period might be. So the team are also working on some adjustable time periods, and that will be launched very, very soon. So there you go. There's some more features that are coming soon. All of these are designed to, of course, increase the value, increase the reach, and increase the effectiveness of Plan Optimizer. Hope you like them. Suji, back to you.
Sorry, was just trying to find my unmute button. Yeah, so thank you, Nigel. So I hope that was informative for everyone there. Obviously, we were talking about Plan Optimizer, which has been the feature that we has been in the market for the last 4 or 5 months. Some of the changes, but really the package between sort of inverter integrated solution, the subscription, so the 1 year $40 subscription option, which makes it really easy just to include, all the 30 days free, and just been able to include that in your sales conversations to take the complexity out of it. I don't think I see any other questions coming in. If you do have questions, guys, please feel free to put it in the chat box now. I'll just give a couple of minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, I've got our email address on the screen too. If you do want a recording of the webinar that you might want to share with other people in your team that couldn't attend, please just let us know.
Great question there that I saw, Suj. I might jump in and answer that for pay on time discounts and other discounts. That is something, Adam, that we've been talking about internally. There's a couple of different ways we can handle it, and we're working on different options. Typically, what consumers are able to do is, you know, they know what their discount is, they know what those rates are, and so they can simply enter that as the rate. But of course, we know that they do vary from time to time, and there are some more complex tariff structures coming. So the team is working on that, but discounts is definitely something that we're working on, and we'll also have some features for soon.
There's another one there, Nigel.
Yeah, I'll keep going. Okay, so dynamic export control, correct. Only our relevant agent services thus far in South Australia only work with our integrated solution, which is actually a bonus for you because it's even simpler and cheaper, because often you're having to put the native hardware in place for export control or other functions. So you're quite right, Garth, that the dynamic export control will be for inverter integrated only.
I don't know if we specifically called it out as well, Nigel, because obviously we have inverter integration with SunGrow and Fronius, but GoodWe is the next one to come onto the market. And I guess in the next sort of month or so, we think we're in testing at the moment. Good. Another one?
Good question from Jared there about commercial tariff structures, environmental tariffs, peak demand charges, the complexity of the commercial world. And I think complexity is the right comment. we would love to be able to take into account every tariff structure in the market, and unfortunately, it is there's already 4,000 or so different tariff structures that we've got to do, and the challenge with commercial is that they're almost infinitely variable. Now, having said that, we've been looking at what we can do with commercial tariff structures. We can sometimes munge together a commercial structure into our standard plan, but at the moment, Plan Optimizer is targeted at residential. We think that's where the biggest bang for the buck is, but certainly haven't forgotten about commercial, and we'll keep you posted on that.
There's another question there, Nigel, about whether Plan Optimizer includes VPP plans.
Another excellent question. Thanks for that one, Greg. At the current time, no. But as we said when we launched Plan Optimizer, we always had a view that Plan Optimizer was the first in a suite of optimizers that we want to develop. And we've done a bunch of the groundwork around this. So, for example, it could be VPP Optimizer, it could be Battery Optimizer, it could be Electric Vehicle Optimizer. There are a bunch of things that we can do once we have the data to help steer people towards other ways to save money, and that can certainly include VPPs. We've actually done a bunch of trials, and we're a recipient of a very large grant only a year or so back to have a really big, deep dive into VPP. So we're watching the space very closely. We don't have anything yet. We're very, very keen to get into that space in time. The key for us right so far has been to get Plan Optimizer up, get the features right, get the feedback, fine tune it, and then work out which are the next ones that roll out. So it's certainly on our radar, Greg, not there quite yet.
And there's a great question from Shane, and Adam is agreeing around expired users. And so whether there's an opportunity for a campaign, I guess, of some sort to entice them back with a 30-day free subscription and a guarantee based on the savings from Plan Optimizer.
What a perfect, I love it when we're mid-webinar and someone unravels some of the things that we've been talking about that we think are great ways to use our service. And you're right on the money there, Shane. There is our data download, in fact, enables you to, tease out some of the value and some of the savings that are sitting on the table for those customers potentially. And certainly for those expired users, the 30-day free subscription is a great way to get them back. I know you and I have talked, mate, about people who've expired or forgotten to renew and then had a problem and rung you and said, oh, I need your help. And you said, well, I would have been able to help you, but you let your subscription lapse. So the first way I can help you is renew your subscription. So you're right. It's a great way to go. And there's a bunch of tools that we're playing with to help potentially project Plan Optimizer savings. What we do know, and it's a great reminder for everyone, in our pilot testing, and this has been backed up now that we're live in the field with, thousands and thousands of users, the simple thing to remember is that 70% of our users will save on average $400 a year through Plan Optimizer. We tested that, we pilot tested that, we're seeing it play out in the market. Of course, there's variables plus or minus either way, but on average, they are the numbers to use. So that's a really simple story to use in your sales pitch.
Thanks, Nigel. Just going to give it another few seconds to see if another question comes through.
Maybe while we're waiting for another question or two to come through, Suji, I might remind everyone of one of the things that I think is arguably the coolest thing that Solar Analytics now has for you, and that is the simplest way to sell solar analytics ever. Plan Optimizer is something that is really easy for people to understand. Everyone knows that they probably can save money by switching. Everyone knows when they get a solar system, they're going to need to get a new tariff structure, but they don't know how to solve that problem. And so what I'm hearing from a lot of people in the market is that the way they're talking about solar analytics in their sales pitch is as simple as this. So you should buy solar from me, Mrs. Jones. I've chosen these panels, this inverter. You've got limited time in that conversation to include solar analytics. But here's the pitch that's working so well. Right at the end of your conversation, Mrs. Jones, by the way, I've included a software package called Plan Optimizer that's automatically going to make sure you're on the best plan. It'll save you up to $400 a year. Is that okay? It's as simple as that. Everything else that's sitting in the background that Solar Analytics can do is cream. True performance, the battery calculator, the savings information, a dashboard that's actually usable and reliable. All those things become cream to embellish the offer. But if you focus your pitch on the simple ability to deliver $400 worth of savings each year, bundle it into your offer, it is so simple. And I challenge you to find 15 seconds in your sales pitch and simply use that.
Awesome. It looks like there's no more questions coming through. So thank you, Nigel, and thank you everyone for joining us. Yes, and again, if you need a copy of the recording or anything else, please contact us at sales@Solar Analytics. Oh, hang on, one last question. What about battery performance monitoring from Adam?
That's a good question. So you're by that, I guess you're talking about potentially battery health. A lot of the battery manufacturers actually do provide a battery health thing. That's one of the things that we have talked about, or viewing the consumption. I might follow up with you on that one, Adam, just to understand exactly what you want. Like I say, with our integrated, our inverter integrated offering, there is potentially more data and more information that we can pull from the inverter to put into the dashboard. And we've kept it super simple because we think that's what customers really want. Is it working? Is the energy going in? Is the energy going out? What's the state of charge? So we've kept it really simple, but I'll follow up with you, Adam, to find out what you've got in mind there, because that could be a really good feature for us to talk about with the product team.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you for your time. That was great. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Oh, sorry. Yes, so we've got the poll. Sorry, Steph. So I've just launched a poll. If you have a few seconds, if you could please just answer those 2 questions, that would be amazing. Thanks, everyone. I'll end the poll.